Rami stepped off the space shuttle and looked around. The planet Velma was nothing like Earth. The sky had the suns, and the clouds were green. The air smelled like fruit, and everything shimmered slightly, like it had a soft glow. He carried only one suitcase and a backpack. His job was simple: help set up a human trade office on this alien planet. But first, he needed a place to stay. A guidebot met him at the port and handed him a small glowing cube. "Welcome to Velma," it said in a calm, polite voice. "You have been assigned a sky apartment in District 9. Your landlady is Trina of the Glor species. Please follow." The green lights. Rami followed the glowing path through quiet floating walkways. Alien birds chirped overhead, and small bubble cars zoomed by without sound. It was peaceful, calm. A little too calm, maybe. When he reached the building, it looked like a giant seashell standing on its end. The doors opened silently as he approached. A tall, feathered alien stood waiting inside. "Human?" the alien asked, her voice soft but firm. "Yes, I'm Rami. I'm Trina. I own this building. Follow me." Trina was tall, nearly 2 meters, and covered in soft feathers that changed color slightly as she moved. She wore a long robe with golden stripes, and her large eyes blinked slowly. She didn't smile, but she didn't frown either. The elevator hummed as they floated upward. "You are the first human in this district," Trina said. "I ask that you follow all living rules. No burning smells, no loud vibrations, no splashing water outside designated areas." "Understood," Rami replied, trying not to laugh at splashing water. This was going to be different. Trina opened his room with a wave of her hand. "Everything is clean. Cooking unit is adjusted for your diet. Bathroom has been changed. For your gravity needs, do not tamper with the climate controls." Rami stepped inside. The room was beautiful, soft lights, floating chairs, and a round bed like a cozy nest. The windows showed a wide view of the glowing city and distant trees that pulsed with light. "Thank you," Rami said. Trina turned to leave, but paused. She tilted her head. "Your body smells like spice." "Why?" Rami blinked. "I had garlic noodles on the shuttle." She nodded slowly, then walked away without another word. The next morning, Rami cooked breakfast. The food from Earth worked fine with the alien stove. He made eggs and toast and added pepper. The smell spread through the room. A moment later, there was a soft buzz at his door. He opened it and saw Trina holding a censer in her hand. "Smoke?" she asked. "No smoke, just eggs." She sniffed the air. Her feathers turned slightly yellow, then back to white. Strange effect. She muttered and walked off again. That became the pattern. Every day, Rami cooked or cleaned or played music on his small speaker. And every day, Trina came by with an excuse: noise check, air reading, floor temperature scan. Rami noticed her visits always happened around the same time, right after he did something that smelled or sounded very human. One day, he was doing push-ups in the living room when she walked in. "Exercise?" she asked. "Yeah. Want to try?" She stared. "No." Her eyes blinked faster than normal. Her feathers shifted to a pale pink. She left quickly without saying more. Rami laughed a little. She was strange, but not unfriendly. Just curious. On the 5th day, Rami was singing in the shower. It was a silly Earth song. Something about sunshine and dancing. The water from the alien shower felt amazing, like warm mist wrapping around him. When he stepped out, he heard a sound. Outside his bathroom door. It was soft, like a footstep. He opened the door slowly. No one was there. But on the table, someone had placed a small glowing plant in a glass jar. It looked like a gift or a message. Rami smiled. "Thanks, Trina," he whispered, though she was already gone. Later that evening, Trina returned to check his water filters. She stood by the wall scanner while Rami sat on the couch reading. "Why do you sing in water?" she asked without looking at him. "It makes me happy," he said. "Humans like sound. It helps us feel better." She nodded slowly. "Your sound changes my temperature." Rami laughed. "Good or bad? I don't know yet." She looked at him carefully. Then she reached into her robe and handed him a small card. "This is my emergency channel. If you have a biology problem. Contact me. Thanks, he said, smiling. I'll be careful. She nodded, then added, do not eat too much pepper. It causes me dizziness. Rami blinked. Okay? No pepper. Then she left. That night, Rami sat by the window. He looked at the glowing city and smiled. Velma was different, but it wasn't scary. He liked the floating chairs, the quiet sky, the twin suns. And even though Trina was strange, he liked talking to her. He didn't know that in her room, just one floor above, Trina was writing notes in her journal. Human subject, Rama behavior, unexpectedly warm, effects on self, increased temperature. Emotional confusion, conclusion, further observation needed. Possibly, special case? She paused, looked at the page, then crossed out observation and wrote, study, ongoing. Outside. The sky turned a gentle purple. The stars of Velma blinked quietly. For the first week, Trina kept telling herself that she was only being professional. A landlady should observe her tenants, especially if they were the first of their species in the district. She reminded herself this often, sometimes out loud. But there was something about Rami that made things complicated. Every time she walked near his door, she felt a strange warmth inside her chest. Her feathers tingled. Her steps became slower. Her thoughts became soft and cloudy. It wasn't painful, just distracting. At first, she thought something in the building was broken. So she brought out her scanner. She checked the floors. Nothing. She checked the air. Still nothing. She even checked her own pulse. It was faster than normal. That worried her. The day after Rami made fried rice with chili oil, she almost fainted. Trina went to see a healer in the city. The clinic was quiet and smelled like fresh leaves. A glow healer named Vina greeted her and placed a small crystal on her forehead. You feel dizzy near your tenant? Vina asked. Yes. Heart pressure? Yes. Feathers changing color? Trina nodded, embarrassed. Vina looked thoughtful. Have you been near earth spices? Yes. Pepper, garlic, cinnamon. HMM. Have you heard of human pheromones? Trina's eyes widened. What? Vina explained. Some species release tiny natural chemicals. Not dangerous, but strong. Humans have many. We Glor never lived near them until now. Their smell is food. Sweat, even laughter can affect our emotions. I see. Trina whispered. It's not illness. Vina said gently. It's response. Trina stood quickly. Thank you. She left the clinic without looking back. At home, she tried to ignore Rami's presence. She turned off her sensors, closed her windows, and even placed a wall of cooling gel between her room and his. But nothing helped. Whenever he cooked, she still noticed. When he sang, she felt lighter. When he laughed, something inside her wanted to listen more. It was becoming a problem. One day, she visited his apartment to check the ceiling lights. It was a fake reason, but she needed to understand more. When she entered, she found Rami sitting cross-legged on the floor, mixing tea in a strange earth cup. Want to try some? He asked. She hesitated. What is it? Chamomile, he said with a smile. It helps humans relax. You look a little tired. She took the cup carefully. The scent was warm, sweet, and soft. She sniffed it, then sipped slowly. Her feathers fluffed. This is a bonding herb, she whispered. Rami blinked. It is, in Glor culture. This is shared during close moments. Oh, I didn't know. It's okay, she said quietly. She handed the cup back and stood up. I'll check the lights now. Back in her room, Trina stared at her journal again. New observation, shared warm drink. Body reaction, chest flutter. Minor limb weakness, emotional response, mixed. Danger level, unknown. Interest level, rising. She closed the book and sighed. This is not what I expected from a tenant. Later that night, Rami left his apartment to explore the city. Trina watched him from the window. He waved at a floating flower vendor and helped a small alien child who dropped a fruit ball. Everywhere he went, beings smiled at him. When he returned, he carried two glowing cubes of Velman jelly. Brought one for you, he said, placing it at her door. She opened the door just a little and looked down. That's a gift, she said softly. You know what that means here. He smiled. I'm learning. Just being kind. She stared at the cube. Kindness has side effects, I noticed, Rami said. There was a pause. Then he added, Is it okay if I keep being me? Trina didn't answer. She just nodded and closed the door gently. Over the next few days, she kept her visits short, but the feelings didn't go away. She tried reading old science scrolls about interspecies behavior. She read about the risks of long exposure to emotional signals. She even tried meditating with cold stones under her feet. Still, the moment she heard his voice or smelled his food, her mind returned to him. One evening, he played music through a small device. The song had no words, just soft earth instruments. It drifted through the halls like a dream. Trina stood by the wall, her eyes closed, listening. Later, she tapped on his door. He opened it, surprised. Everything okay? I need to understand. She said, Your voice, your food, your presence. It's changing my biology. I didn't mean to. He said, Honestly, I know, she replied. That's the strange part. You are not trying. But it still works. Rami scratched his head. You want me to stop cooking or singing? Trina hesitated. No. I want to learn why it affects me. He smiled gently. All right, we can figure it out together. That night, she added one more line to her journal. New phase, study in progress. Human is cooperative. Note to self, do not share tea again without reason. Secondary note, find meaning of the word vibe. Rami said it twice today. The building stayed quiet that night, but something new filled the space between their apartments. Not tension. Not confusion, but something like curiosity. And curiosity was a powerful thing on Velma. Trina stood in front of her reflection. Her feathers looked messy today. They were turning light pink again. She tried to smooth them with water, but they puffed back up. She sighed and looked at her journal. Problem, feather color unstable. Cause, unknown. Possibly human. She closed the journal and headed to Rami's door. She had no reason to knock. No repairs needed. No rules broken. But something inside her wanted to see what new thing he was doing. She lifted her hand to press the door signal, then lowered it. Instead, she waited behind the wall and listened. Inside, Rami was talking to himself. I wonder if this goes in the top cabinet. Nope, too tall. There was a sound of something falling. Ouch, okay, maybe not there either. Then he started humming a soft tune, light and playful. Trina smiled without meaning to. Later that day, she finally had a real reason to visit. His air filter showed a tiny warning. She took her tools and knocked. Rami opened the door and smiled. Hey, Trina, come on in. She stepped inside. The smell of warm cinnamon floated in the air. Are you baking? She asked, scanning the walls. Kind of, he said. I'm trying to make Earth-style cookies with Velman flour. Want to try one? She blinked. I don't eat sugar. They're not too sweet, Rami said. Just warm and soft. He offered her a small round biscuit. She took it slowly and sniffed. The scent was inviting. She took a small bite. Her feathers turned light blue. This tastes comfortable. That's a good thing, Rami asked. She nodded. As she worked on the air filter, he kept talking. I've been reading about Glor traditions, he said. You guys really care about colors. Yes, she said. Color is how we show feelings. We don't smile like humans do. Rami thought for a moment. So when your feathers turn pink or blue, that means something. She paused. Yes, but it's private. Oh, Rami said. Got it? He didn't ask more, and she was grateful. But she still wondered if he had noticed how often her feathers changed around him. The next day, Rami did something unusual. He brought a small wooden box and placed it at her door. Trina opened it carefully. Inside was a teacup, the same kind he used. It was painted with little stars. A note said, Thought you might like your own, so we can have tea together sometime. Rami. She stared at the cup for a long time. A personal cup was a Glor tradition too, but usually shared between partners, not between tenant and landlady. Her feathers turned deep yellow, the color of confusion. She didn't return the cup. Instead, she cleaned it, placed it in her cabinet, and wrote in her journal again. New event. Received personal object from human. Human meaning unclear. Glor meaning equals possible bond offer. Reaction. Confused but not displeased. That evening, Rami invited her to try Earth board games. I don't know how to play, she said. That's okay. He smiled. I'll teach you. They sat on the floor, and he explained a game called Tiles and Towers. It involved placing small blocks to build shapes without letting the stack fall. She watched him build first. His hands moved quickly, but not rushed. When it was her turn, she was slow, careful. Good move, Rami said gently. Her feathers turned soft silver, the color of quiet pride. They played for nearly an hour. Trina forgot about scanning walls or checking rules. She just wanted to see if she could win. Near the end, her tower collapsed. She blinked. I lost. You had fun though, right? He asked. She looked at him. Yes. The next morning, Trina walked through the hallway and saw something new. Rami had placed a small hanging light outside his door. It glowed with soft earth colors, blue and green, shaped like stars. She tilted her head. What does this mean? Rami heard her and stepped out. Oh, it's decoration. It makes my space feel like home. Trina nodded. In Glor culture, lights like that mean you are inviting someone to visit again. Rami raised his eyebrows. Really? That's kind of perfect. Then, she looked at him. Have I visited too much? He laughed. No, I kind of like it. Her feathers shimmered pale pink. I see. They stood silently for a moment. Then Rami added, if you want, I can hang another light for your door. She thought for a moment, then said, only if it's quiet. Some colors give me a headache. Rami grinned. Noted. That night, Trina couldn't sleep. She walked slowly through her apartment, holding the teacup he gave her. She didn't drink anything. She just held it. Her mind kept repeating the same thoughts. Why do I enjoy talking to him? Why do his actions match Glor bonding signs? Why do I keep watching for his footsteps? She returned to her journal. Observation. Update. Human behavior includes multiple gestures that mirror Glor connection rituals. Sharing food, giving a personal object, inviting to play, light offering those he know. What these mean to me? She stared at the question. Then she drew a circle around it. The following day, she asked Rami to join her for a walk around the tower garden. It was the first time she invited him out. They walked slowly beside the floating flower beds. Birds flew overhead, chirping soft notes. Rami said, this place is beautiful. Trina replied, it's quiet. I come here when I don't understand my own thoughts. Sounds like something I need to, he said. They sat on a floating bench. She turned to him. Have you been trying to bond with me? Rami blinked. I know. I mean, I just like being around you. If that means bonding, then maybe it's accidental. She looked at him seriously. Humans do not follow the same rituals. But your kindness feels like a message. I didn't mean to confuse you, he said. But I do care. Trina took a deep breath. Then we will learn each other's meanings together. He smiled. That sounds fair. Later that evening, she didn't write in her journal. Instead, she placed the cup on the table and added a second one beside it. Then she waited. Not for a problem. Not for a broken light. Just for Rami to knock. And this time, she hoped he would. Trina sat quietly in her small study room. Her feathers were calm today, a soft blue color. But her mind buzzed with questions. The more she spent time near Rami, the more confused she became about her own feelings. She wanted answers. She needed to understand. After breakfast, she decided to ask for help from Pell, a Glor scientist known for studying alien biology. Pell was smart and kind, and many trusted her knowledge. Trina hoped Pell could explain why humans affected her this way. Trina sent a message asking for an appointment. Pell replied quickly and invited her to the research center near the city's core. The building was large and shiny, filled with humming machines and glowing screens. When Trina arrived, Pell greeted her warmly. Trina, what brings you here? Today, Trina took a deep breath. I need to understand human biology. especially how it affects me. Pell nodded. That is a good question. Humans are strange to us, Glor. Their bodies release many signals we do not yet fully understand. They entered a lab filled with colorful equipment. Pell placed a small device on Trina's wrist. This will measure your biological responses. Next, Pell called Rami to the center. He arrived curious but calm. Trina explained everything. We want to see how your biology interacts with mine. Rami smiled nervously. Okay, I'm ready. Pell started the test. Rami sat close to Trina while she held his hand carefully. The machines beeped softly. Your heart rate rises near him, Pell said, and your feathers change color faster than normal. Trina looked at Rami, who shrugged. Pell showed Trina a screen filled with waves and lines. Your bodies send signals called pheromones. They can cause emotional and physical reactions. Trina frowned. But why does this happen with humans? Humans produce unique pheromones we Glor have never encountered, Pell explained. Some cause bonding feelings, others can confuse emotions. Your species is sensitive to them. Trina sighed. So this is not illness? No. But it is a powerful reaction. It can affect your feelings deeply. Rami spoke softly. So, this means my body chemistry is making you feel more. Pell nodded. Yes. It is an accidental bond, but it does not force anything. You still choose your feelings. Trina's feathers turned pale violet. This is unexpected. Pell smiled kindly. Sometimes, unexpected is the beginning of something new. After the test, Trina and Rami walked slowly through the garden outside the research center. Rami looked at her. So, I'm like a chemical surprise. Trina laughed softly. A very strange surprise. He grinned. I'm sorry if I'm causing trouble. No trouble, she said. Just curiosity. They stopped near a fountain that sparkled. In the sunlight, Trina turned serious. This means I need to be honest with you. My feelings are confused but strong. It is hard to separate biology from choice. Rami nodded. I feel the same. I want to be honest too. I care about you. Trina, her feathers warmed to a gentle gold. Then we must learn together, she said. Understand each other's biology and feelings. He smiled and took her hand. Back in her apartment, Trina wrote in her journal. Biology causes changes, feelings are real but complicated. Mutual respect is key. Will continue study with human cooperation. She closed the book and looked at the small teacup Rami had given her. It sat on the table, a symbol of their growing connection. Over the next days, Trina felt a new calmness. The confusion did not disappear, but she accepted it. She found herself laughing more, even humming quiet songs she had learned from Rami. Rami continued his routines but adjusted some habits. He avoided cooking strong spices when she was nearby and lowered the volume of his music, but he still smiled, told stories, and shared simple kindness. One evening, Trina surprised Rami with a small gift. She gave him a soft feather from her wing, dyed blue. It's a sign of friendship in Glor culture. She explained. Rami smiled broadly. Thank you. I'll keep it safe. They spent more time together, talking about Earth and Velma. They compared traditions, laughed about misunderstandings, and shared quiet moments of understanding. Their friendship grew stronger, built on respect and new discoveries. One night, Trina looked out her window at the twin suns setting. She whispered to herself, maybe this strange biology is a chance for something wonderful. And deep inside, she hoped Rami felt the same. The days passed quietly in the glowing city of Velma. Rami and Trina's unusual friendship grew with each shared cup of tea and every new story exchanged. But as their connection deepened, whispers began to spread. Velma was a close community. News traveled fast, especially news about a human tenant and his strange, feathered landlady. One morning, as Rami left his apartment, a small crowd had gathered near the elevator. Several Glor neighbors looked at him curiously. Hello, Rami said with a warm smile. An older Glor woman stepped forward, her feathers shining pale green. You are the human who changed Trina's feathers. Rami blinked. Change her feathers? I don't think I meant to. The woman laughed softly. It is true. We all notice. Your presence affects her, like the bloom of spring flowers. Rami smiled, a little embarrassed. I'm just trying to be a good neighbor. Back in her apartment, Trina heard the soft tapping on her door. It was a messenger droid with a small glowing package. Inside, she found a gift basket. It contained various earth spices, cinnamon, vanilla, ginger, and a note from the neighbors. With respect and curiosity, may your friendship bring new light to Velma. Trina felt warmth spread through her feathers. She wasn't alone in this new experience. Over the next few days, Rami noticed changes around him. The baker in the hall began offering him fresh bread. The shuttle driver waved extra warmly. Even the quiet flower vendor at the market smiled widely and handed him a small bouquet. It seems humans bring a good feeling, the vendor said in broken glore. Rami nodded. Maybe. I just tried to be kind, but the kindness made his days brighter. One afternoon, Trina visited Rami with a serious look. I have heard stories, she said softly. Some say human and glore mixing is dangerous. Rami shook his head. People worry about what they don't understand, but I believe we can learn from each other. She looked thoughtful. I'm glad you feel that way. Together, they talked about fears, hopes, and the future. Trina admitted she was nervous about how their bond might change things. Rami placed a hand gently on her feathered arm. Whatever happens, we face it together. Word reached the Velman City Council. They called Trina and Rami for a meeting. In a high chamber filled with floating orbs of light. The council members greeted them with curious eyes. Your relationship is unusual, the council leader said, but it shows promise. The galaxy changes. Cooperation between species is the future. Trina and Rami exchanged a hopeful glance. The council offered support. They encouraged cultural exchange events and asked the pair to share their experiences with others. Inspired by the council, Rami and Trina planned a gathering in their building's garden. Neighbors arrived, bringing dishes from many worlds, the air filled with laughter, music, and new friendships blossoming. Rami told stories of Earth's oceans and mountains. Trina shared legends of Velma's glowing forests. The two species mixed in harmony. That night, after the guests left, Trina and Rami stood side by side beneath the twin sun's soft glow. Trina smiled. I never imagined a human could become so important to me. Rami returned the smile. And I never imagined an alien landlady could be so fascinating. They laughed quietly. Maybe this is just the beginning, Trina said. Rami nodded. Yes, together. We can show the galaxy something special. Their story spread beyond Velma, becoming a symbol of hope. A human and a glore had formed a bond, not forced, but natural. It was a reminder that even the strangest differences could become the strongest connections. Weeks had passed since the gathering in the garden, and the peaceful bond between Rami and Trina had grown stronger. The neighbors no longer whispered with surprise but smiled warmly whenever the two were seen together. One afternoon, Trina sat quietly in her apartment. Deep in thought, she was holding a thin piece of glowing paper, a traditional glore document called a form of mutual living. It was not a marriage, but a promise of respect and cooperation between two beings sharing a home and life. Trina had been nervous about offering this form to Rami. It was a serious step, one that few took lightly, yet she felt it was time. She placed the form carefully in an envelope and sealed it with a feather imprint, a mark of her sincerity. The next morning, she knocked on Rami's door. When he opened, she held out the envelope. Rami, she said softly, this is a glore agreement. It means we agree to live together respectfully and share our lives. You don't have to sign if you don't want to. Rami looked surprised but smiled. Thank you, Trina. I appreciate your trust. He took the envelope carefully and nodded. I will read it. They sat together in his living room. The sunlight shone through the windows, casting soft colors on the floor. Rami opened the envelope and read the document slowly. The language was formal but kind. After finishing, he looked up. I don't fully understand every part, but I like the meaning. I want to live and learn with you. Trina smiled warmly. That is all I ask. In the days that followed, they discussed their routines and needs more openly. Rami shared stories of Earth's simple customs, family dinners, holidays, quiet nights. Trina explained Glore traditions, the importance of feathers, the art of silent communication, and the ritual of sharing warmth. They adapted their living space together. Rami added soft cushions and Earth-style pictures. Trina placed glowing orbs for gentle light and arranged fresh alien flowers. Their home became a symbol of two worlds blending gently. Neighbors noticed the change too. One morning, the shuttle driver brought them a small plant that glowed softly. At night, "It is a gift for your shared home," she said with a bright smile. Rami accepted it gratefully. "Thank you. We will care for it." Trina nodded. Velma welcomes this union. Their bond was not without small challenges. Trina sometimes grew quiet when Rami told Earth jokes she did not understand. Rami struggled to learn the meanings behind the many colors of her feathers, but they faced these moments with patience and laughter. One evening, as the twin suns set, Rami prepared a simple meal. Trina watched carefully, remembering the dizziness she once felt near strong spices. But this time, she felt steady. The strange biological reaction had softened. They ate quietly, enjoying the peaceful moment. Afterward, Rami took Trina's hand. "We are stronger than biology," he said. Trina squeezed his hand gently. "Yes, together, we shape our own story." As time passed, their story became known throughout Velma and beyond. The tale of a human and an alien landlady showed others that differences could be bridges, not walls. And in the quiet corners of their home, Trina and Rami smiled at each other, ready for whatever the future might bring. The skies above Velma glowed purple as the twin suns began to set. The buildings, tall and smooth like crystal, shimmered in the fading light. In one of those buildings, on the 5th level, a human and a Glore were planting a tree together. It was a gift from the Velman Council, a unity tree, known to grow only when both caretakers shared trust and peace. Rami held the roots steady while Trina covered them with soft soil. Using her feathered hands, "This tree will grow tall," she said, "if we keep it warm and protected." Rami smiled. "Just like our friendship." They both stood silently for a moment, watching the small glowing leaves. The tree pulsed gently, with green light matching the quiet rhythm of their bond. Since signing the mutual agreement, life had changed for both of them. Trina was no longer just a landlady. She became a speaker at Unity events. She taught others how Glore customs could mix with human ways. People listened to her not only because she was wise, but because she had lived it. Rami also began sharing his experiences. He was invited to local schools and gatherings. He talked about Earth, about adjusting to new worlds, and most of all, about kindness. The people of Velma, both Glore and visiting species, started to see humans in a new way. One day, a group of young Glore children visited their apartment on a school field trip. The teacher, a kind old Glore male with gold-tipped feathers, smiled at Rami. "We want the children to see how different beings can live together." Trina gave the children a tour. "This is our shared living space. We blend our cultures here." Rami showed them the food corner. "Here's where we cook. This is cinnamon, a human spice. And this is jar root, a Glore vegetable. We learned to mix them into one dish." The children looked amazed. "You are like a story," one girl said. "A real story we can walk inside." Rami chuckled. "That's the best kind of story." Later that week, Trina received a message from her sister, Yomi, who lived in a far-off Glore city. Yomi had once doubted the bond between Trina and a human, but the message was different this time. "I watched your talk. I understand better now. You were brave to walk a new path. I hope to visit soon, and maybe try cinnamon tea." Trina smiled as she read it. She looked at Rami, who was watering the unity tree. "You're changing more than me," she said. "You're changing hearts." Rami looked up, surprised. "I think we're both doing that." One quiet evening, the city lights below flickered like stars. Trina and Rami sat on the balcony with warm drinks. "Do you ever miss Earth?" Trina asked softly. Rami nodded. "Yes, sometimes. The smell of rain, the sound of waves. But here I feel at home too." She looked at him kindly. That means a lot to hear. He took a deep breath. And you? Did you ever expect your life to turn like this? Trina gave a soft laugh. Not even once. I never thought I would share my space, my stories, or my heart with a human. But now, I cannot imagine it any other way. Soon after, the Velman Council invited Rami and Trina to a special event called the Interlinking Ceremony. It was held once every 10 years, honoring partnerships that inspired peace across species. The council leader, a wise being with eyes like glowing shells, stood before the crowd. Velma is not just a place. It is a symbol, and today, we honor the beings who remind us that connection does not require sameness. Rami and Trina were given small pins, a feather crossing a leaf, a sign of harmony. When they returned home, they pinned them next to the unity tree. Seasons changed, but their bond stayed strong. Some days were quiet, some were busy, but every day they shared a meal, a thought, or a simple walk in the garden. They celebrated both Earth and Glore festivals. On Earth Day, Trina helped plant a row of flowers from Earth seeds. On Feather Night, a Glore holiday, Rami lit the glow lanterns with her and joined in the quiet dances. Their apartment became a space of laughter and peace. Years later, visitors to Velma would often ask about the feather and flame, the nickname given to Trina and Rami by locals. Some came to see the unity tree, now tall and glowing brighter than any other. Others came to learn, to listen, and Rami and Trina welcomed them all, not as hosts, but as friends. One night, as stars lit the skies and the tree swayed gently in the wind, Trina looked at Rami. Do you think the galaxy will ever stop seeing us as strange? Rami smiled. Maybe, or maybe being strange is what makes our stories special. She nodded slowly. Yes, maybe the galaxy needs more strange stories. They sat in silence, side by side. A human and a Glore. Not just landlady and tenant anymore, but companions on a journey only the stars could truly understand.